Hi, I'm Hannah. I am the head of women's sports science at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I got into performance nutrition back in 2014. So I did a sports science undergrad degree, had a real interest in nutrition in my final few years, and then went on to do my master's in sports nutrition. Studied up in Scotland, where the Scottish Institute of Sport is attached to the university up there. And yeah, just started to get experience in the elite world and loved it. Had a real passion for Olympic sport because that was what I wanted to be when I was younger. I wanted to be an Olympic athlete. It was like that or nothing really. And then when I went on to do a sports science degree, realised that I was probably going to have to work in the field to get my fix of professional sport rather than be an athlete myself. From a young age at school, I was kind of like captain of a lot of different sports teams. I was that girl that was like captain of hockey, trampolining, athletics, a bit of everything. A real passion for sport. And then once I got a little bit older, athletics was my thing. And that was when all I wanted to do is be an athlete in the Olympics. There's an interview with me, I think with the BBC saying, yeah, that's my dream, that's what I'm going to do. And I am quite like headstrong. When I get something in my head, that is it, and I'm going after it. So I chose my uni based on where the best athletics teams were. And then knew that, my real interest was sport. I liked science at school as well, so mixed it up and did a sports science degree. And whilst I was at uni, got a whole load of injuries and realised, right, I'm not going to make it. This dream isn't actually going to happen, so I need to put my energy and passion into something else, which was ultimately working with those athletes and supporting them and still being around the environment. So yeah, I think my real draw at first was Olympic sport, and I thought, that's where I'm going to work. And then after doing a couple of years working as a performance nutritionist in Olympic sport, the role at Spurs came up. I do like football, but I guess a good thing for me that I wasn't, I'm not football crazy, so I didn't come in like completely starstruck into my role. It's kind of like, in a way, it's the pinnacle because you're so integrated, it's so centralised as well, and it's so fast-paced. There's everything you're working for. There's a game every few days, every week. Whereas Olympic sport is, it's much more longer term, longer plans until you actually get to the big event. So yeah, misconceptions in sports nutrition, I would say it's been varied across my experiences with male and female athletes. In the female environment, I think there's a big misconception that female players or athletes, they should look lean and quite skinny, but actually it's not one size fits all. And I had to really work hard, especially when I went in with female athletes, to help them understand that, and it's okay to look different to someone else in your team or someone else that you're competing against, and this is what healthy eating looks like. And ultimately the way we work is that if you're eating the right things at the right time and you're training hard, you will fall into your best body composition and your best body shape. Don't worry about, whose body fat is this and that, because everyone is individual. And I've seen it so many times. We can have kind of like one of our best players regularly in our starting 11 and their body fat is 5% higher than someone else's, but that is good for them and that's where they're optimal. So we need to move away, and times are definitely changing, and social media and the media doesn't help with portraying that image around female athletes. But we're definitely moving away from that and being able to individualise things and accept that they're not all going to look the same. To earn trust in a football environment, I think you've got to be really confident. You need to be confident in your expertise. You've got to be confident in challenging people who maybe challenge your opinion or views. Like if it's something you really believe in and you know that is right, and if you do something, opposite, it could be a detriment to a player's health or performance, then in the right way, you need to really kind of, not enforce probably isn't the right word, but you need to, as best as possible, reason with those people to try and get your point across, because ultimately you are the expert. And I think that also comes with a lot of good people skills. You need to be able to manage different people. You need to be able to build relationships, because ultimately, if you get on with someone, even if they don't fully back your view, you've got a much better chance of them taking it on board, for example, or implementing something or listening to you. So for me, a lot of it is about confidence in your expertise, having great people skills, being able to kind of meet in the middle, with things and adapt and be flexible. If you're going to go in and it's my way or the highway, I don't think you're going to survive in football. Yeah, I think when I've felt potentially underestimated was probably early on in my career. I was a young practitioner. I've been a female coming into quite a male-dominated environment in a couple of different roles. And I think you do have to spend more time proving yourself in that situation. Again, going back to my previous answer, it definitely comes back to confidence. And also, like, whatever role you do, I do believe that if you go into a new workplace, you probably do have to justify that you're good at your role and you can do it. People are always sceptical until they see proof of it, aren't they? So, yeah, there's definitely been times where people have maybe questioned a new strategy that I've put in place, but probably more so because they've not seen it before, or they don't know anything about it. So then it's on me to educate them and make them see the worth in it. Also being young, I think people always think, oh, if you're young, you're not that experienced. But actually, some of the youngest practitioners are often some of the best practitioners because they come out with these new, fresh ideas and, you know, they're up to date on research and things like that. Commanding respect, I would say it comes with building relationships. Being people-centered for me is massive. I've worked in environments where sort of, you know, they have these rigid rules and everyone needs to work by these, but for me that doesn't work. You need to understand different people, how they work, what are their priorities, what's important for them in life in general and as a person outside of the working environment, and make sure you adapt to that, but having your boundaries and being firm if someone kind of steps out of line. And I think that's how you gain respect. My advice for young females going into high performance environments would be to be confident and know that you've earned your place there. If you're going into the environment, the chances are you've got the qualifications, you've got the knowledge to be there. So be confident with that. And if people challenge you, make sure you challenge them back in the right way. Be confident to challenge the norms, I guess. After I had 2 kids, I felt like I absolutely didn't need permission to be going back to work in a quite high pressure leadership role. For me, it was like a given. I was going to go back into that. And I guess in society, it's often seen that once you've had a child or multiple children, that a female would maybe change their role or go part-time. But for me, being a mum and wanting to be the best mum I can also comes with me also being good at my job and happy in that. I'm very career driven. And I think for my kids growing up, I hope that they're, you know, inspired by that, and that's great for their development as well. So I never had to ask the question or even ask myself or second guess myself about doing that. For me, it was like, I can have 2 kids and want that family life, but also I can do the role that I'm doing and do it well. And if anything, it makes me better at my job because I'm probably more empathetic as a person, but I'm also much more time efficient because I know when I get home, I want to be able to spend some time with them, be able to put them to bed, be able to give them dinner, and not be doing work at the same time. And it might mean that sometimes I have to work a bit later, but ultimately when I'm in the job, I'm here and I'm here working hard. And, you know, back in the day, I probably could spend more time, you know, switching off for an hour after lunch while I was at work and then staying later at work. But now I can't do that. And yeah, for me, being able to have a family but also do this job is massively important, and I don't think one would work as well without the other.